In a world where millions are on the move, seeking new opportunities and safe havens, it might shock you to know that some countries are practically slamming the door shut. According to the United Nations, over 281 million people migrated internationally in recent years. But despite this wave of global movement, certain nations have made it nearly impossible for immigrants to settle within their borders. Strict visa restrictions, rigid refugee policies, and unyielding immigration laws mean that foreign workers, expats, and even refugees face an uphill battle just to get their foot in the door. This isn't your average list of travel destinations. These are the top 10 countries where immigrants are not welcome. From travel bans to intense screening processes, these countries are dead set on keeping outsiders out, and their reasons may surprise you. So, why are some countries refusing to let immigrants in? What's behind the immigration challenges that make it so hard to even visit, let alone live, in these places? Stay tuned as we dive into the harsh realities of global immigration policies. Don't forget to hit subscribe on Virtual Travel by Brian so you won't miss any of our deep dives into travel, expat life, and the hidden corners of our world. Let's get started. Number 10. Poland. Poland might be known for its stunning architecture and hearty cuisine, but when it comes to immigration, it's a country that draws a hard line. This Eastern European nation, with a population of about 37.6 million according to Statistics Poland, takes a restrictive stance, especially towards non-European immigrants. In recent years, Poland's policies have become increasingly cautious, focusing on preserving cultural identity and ensuring national security. A perspective that's well aligned with its political landscape. Poland's ruling Law and Justice Party has built much of its platform around limiting immigration, especially from Muslim-majority and non-European countries. A combination of security concerns and the desire to protect Polish traditions drives this stance. During the European migrant crisis, Poland refused EU quotas for accepting refugees, citing security risks associated with the influx of people from conflict zones. According to The Guardian, Poland's government argues that accepting large numbers of refugees could pose a security risk and disrupt social cohesion. What really sets Poland apart is its unique no-visa-for-work policy. While the country allows migrants from Ukraine and Belarus to work temporarily without a visa, a move to support its labor market needs, it's far less welcoming to those from outside the EU, who face steep visa and residency barriers. This selective immigration approach allows Poland to fill labor gaps without fundamentally altering its demographic makeup. The political climate plays a major role in shaping these policies. Many Poles feel a strong attachment to their cultural roots, and there's a widespread belief that a large influx of immigrants could erode these traditions. The government's nationalistic messaging reinforces this idea, positioning Poland as a nation that prioritizes its citizens over outsiders. This is why it made our top 10 countries where immigrants are not welcome list. Poland's policies stand as a prime example of a country focused on preserving its cultural and security priorities. While Poland's borders remain open to tourism, getting a long-term pass is another story entirely. So, if you're thinking of moving, be prepared for a lot of red tape, especially if you're not from the EU. Number 9. Kuwait. Kuwait may be a small nation with a big oil economy, but when it comes to immigration, it's in a league of its own. With a population of around 4.8 million, about 70% of whom are expatriates according to the World Bank, Kuwait relies heavily on foreign labor, yet tightly controls who can stay long-term. Here's the catch. Despite the heavy reliance on foreign workers, Kuwait has some of the most restrictive citizenship policies worldwide, offering almost no pathways for immigrants to settle permanently. Kuwait's approach to immigration is straightforward. Work here, but don't expect to stay forever. Most foreigners enter Kuwait through work visas, typically tied to specific jobs and sponsors. Lose your job, and it's time to leave. For foreign workers, the infamous kafala system, a sponsorship-based structure used across the Gulf, makes it difficult to switch jobs or gain long-term residency without employer permission. Citizenship? Nearly impossible. According to Human Rights Watch, Kuwait's citizenship laws are some of the strictest in the Gulf, with citizenship generally limited to those with Kuwaiti ancestry. Why all the restrictions? Kuwait's government has several reasons. First, there's a strong emphasis on preserving Kuwaiti national identity, deeply rooted in Arab and Islamic traditions. The government fears that a large influx of permanent immigrants could dilute its cultural landscape. As Gulf News puts it, Kuwait's policies aim to maintain a demographic balance, ensuring that Kuwaiti nationals remain the majority. Economic concerns also come into play. Kuwait's wealth stems largely from oil revenues, and the government wants to keep its resources primarily for citizens. Expanding citizenship rights would mean extending social benefits, like free healthcare, education, and subsidies, to a broader group, which the government sees as economically unsustainable. This hardline stance on immigration is part of why Kuwait appears in our top 10 countries where immigrants are not welcome list. In Kuwait, foreign labor may fuel the economy, but the doors to permanent residency and citizenship remain firmly shut, even for those who've lived there for decades. So, if you're planning to work in Kuwait, enjoy the cultural experience, but don't expect to put down roots. Number 8. Japan. Japan may be famous for cherry blossoms, high-tech cities, and ancient traditions, but it's also known for having some of the world's strictest immigration policies. With a population of around 122.6 million, according to the Japanese Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications, Japan carefully controls immigration, prioritizing cultural preservation and social harmony over workforce expansion through immigration. In a country that places high value on its unique cultural identity, welcoming newcomers permanently is a rare exception rather than the rule. Japan's immigration system has strict requirements for those hoping to gain permanent residency or citizenship. The typical path to residency requires several years of continuous employment and residency in Japan, passing rigorous language exams and demonstrating good conduct, which includes full integration into Japanese society. Citizenship is even tougher. Foreigners must live in Japan for at least 5 years, pass a thorough background check, and renounce their previous nationality, as Japan does not allow dual citizenship. The Japan Times notes that Japan's citizenship process is one of the most challenging in the developed world, prioritizing cultural integration and long-term commitment. So, why such stringent measures? Japan has a deeply rooted sense of cultural identity, which many Japanese citizens and policymakers fear could be diluted by large-scale immigration. The Japanese government has often stated that a cohesive society is vital for stability, and a large influx of foreigners might disrupt this harmony. Additionally, Japan's aging population is putting pressure on its economy and workforce, yet the government prefers solutions like automation and extending work opportunities to women and seniors over immigration. Economic concerns also play a role. Japan's economy has been under strain in recent years, and there's a cautious approach to immigration to ensure public services aren't overburdened. According to The Diplomat, Japan has taken a unique approach to its demographic challenges, avoiding immigration and focusing on robotics and internal labor reforms. In our top 10 countries where immigrants are not welcome video, Japan's approach stands out for how it balances an insular cultural identity with modern economic pressures. While Japan remains a must-see destination for tourists, settling down as a permanent resident or citizen is a journey reserved only for those deeply committed to embracing every aspect of Japanese life. Number 7. Denmark. Denmark is famous for its happiness index and cozy hygge lifestyle, but when it comes to immigration, this Nordic country takes a notably restrictive stance. With a population of around 5.9 million in 2023, according to Statistics Denmark, Denmark has seen a significant increase in immigrants over the years. By 2024, the immigrant population reached 700,000, a sharp rise from 480,000 in 2014. This influx of newcomers has sparked debates over Denmark's cultural identity, national security, and social cohesion, leading the government to adopt some of Europe's strictest immigration measures. Denmark's policies are clear. They aim to limit non-Western immigration through residency bans, strict language tests, and challenging citizenship requirements. One particularly tough policy is the jewelry law, introduced in 2016, which permits authorities to seize valuables from refugees to fund their stay, a move criticized internationally. Another measure includes the ghetto plan, targeting immigrant-dense neighborhoods to enforce Danish values. Non-Western immigrants in these areas face unique challenges, from curfews to mandatory language courses, all in the effort to integrate immigrants while maintaining Danish culture. The political climate has further influenced Denmark's immigration restrictions. The Social Democrats, Denmark's leading party, have shifted to stricter immigration policies, a stance supported by many Danes concerned about preserving the country's cultural identity. As the local Denmark noted, Denmark has taken one of the toughest stances on immigration in Europe. Additionally, national security concerns contribute to these measures, with an emphasis on countering perceived threats from non-Western countries. In top 10 countries where immigrants are not welcome, Denmark exemplifies how economic, cultural, and security issues intertwine to shape stringent immigration policies. So, while Denmark may welcome visitors to explore its beautiful landscapes and rich history, it's clear the welcome mat isn't quite as inviting for those hoping to stay long-term. Number 6. Bhutan. Bhutan, often called the Land of the Thunder Dragon, is famous for its stunning mountain landscapes and its commitment to gross national happiness. But when it comes to immigration, Bhutan is about as selective as it gets. With a population of only around 800,000 according to the National Statistics Bureau of Bhutan, Bhutan is incredibly focused on preserving its unique cultural heritage and pristine environment. This small Himalayan kingdom maintains a highly restrictive immigration policy, allowing only a limited number of foreigners to live and work within its borders, and even fewer to settle long-term. For those hoping to call Bhutan home, the barriers are high. Bhutan only grants permanent residency in exceptional cases, usually reserved for individuals of Bhutanese heritage or those who have made extraordinary contributions to the country. Foreigners entering Bhutan for work face tight visa restrictions, often limited to specific job roles, such as educators or technical consultants, and are required to leave once their contracts expire. Citizenship? Nearly impossible. Even marriage to a Bhutanese citizen doesn't guarantee a straightforward path to naturalization. According to Bhutanese law, citizenship applicants must renounce any previous nationality, demonstrate strong integration into Bhutanese society, and pass stringent background checks. The reasoning behind these policies goes beyond just immigration control. Bhutan places immense value on maintaining its cultural identity and environmental stability. The government fears that a significant influx of immigrants could disrupt its social fabric and place undue pressure on its fragile ecosystems. Bhutan is, after all, the only carbon-negative country in the world, and its leaders are keen to keep it that way. The diplomat notes that Bhutan's cautious approach to immigration is rooted in its commitment to sustainable development and cultural preservation. In our top 10 countries where immigrants are not welcome video, Bhutan's stance is a fascinating look at a country that prioritizes its environmental and cultural integrity above all else. Bhutan might welcome visitors to enjoy its landscapes and traditions, but for those looking to settle down, it's an invitation that's rarely, if ever, extended. Before we dive into the next country on our list, I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think about these strict immigration policies? Do you think these countries are doing the right thing to protect their culture and resources, or is it too extreme? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you're finding this video insightful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Virtual Travel by Brian for more fascinating content on unique global destinations. Number 5. Australia. Australia is renowned for its sunny beaches, friendly kangaroos, and vibrant cities, but when it comes to immigration, it's all business. Known for some of the world's toughest immigration policies, Australia has made it clear that getting in is far from a walk in the park. With a population of 26.8 million as of 2023, according to Australian Bureau of Statistics, the nation enforces strict border security and tight immigration controls to maintain what it calls orderly migration. The backbone of Australia's approach is the Operation Sovereign Borders Initiative, which launched in 2013. According to the Department of Home Affairs, this policy includes intercepting boats carrying asylum seekers and sending them to offshore detention centers in places like Nauru and Papua New Guinea. This process deters unauthorized entry and makes it explicitly clear arriving by boat won't get you into Australia. These detention centers have drawn significant criticism from human rights organizations, but remain a core element of Australia's border policy. Australia's immigration system also imposes visa restrictions that favor highly skilled workers, making it challenging for foreign workers with lower qualifications to gain entry. Meanwhile, there's a clear focus on economic contributions. As the Sydney Morning Herald notes, Australia's immigration policy is driven by economic self-interest. As a result, visas are primarily granted to those who can prove they'll contribute to the economy, while asylum seekers and undocumented migrants face steep obstacles. The political climate supports these restrictions, with both major parties backing firm immigration policies. Concerns over national security, economic stability, and social cohesion have influenced these measures, particularly with worries about human trafficking and the strain on public services like healthcare and education. Australia is featured in top 10 countries where immigrants are not welcome because its immigration policies exemplify how a nation balances economic goals with strict population control. So, while Australia may welcome tourists with open arms, the bar is set high for those looking to call it home permanently. Number 4. United Arab Emirates, UAE. The United Arab Emirates is known for its glitzy skyscrapers, luxury shopping, and desert landscapes. But if you're looking to settle down, think again. The UAE may welcome millions of foreign workers, but don't expect an easy path to citizenship. With a population of around 10 million, where roughly 89% are expatriates according to World Population Review, the UAE's immigration policies are all about maintaining a delicate demographic balance. The UAE runs on foreign labor, particularly in industries like construction, hospitality, and domestic work. However, these workers are seen as temporary residents rather than future citizens. Residency is typically granted through work permits and visas, which are linked to specific jobs and sponsors. Lose the job and it's time to leave. Citizenship? Forget it. The UAE rarely grants it, even for those who have spent decades in the country. According to Gulf News, the UAE's strict citizenship rules are designed to preserve the demographic majority of Emirati nationals, safeguarding local culture and social structure. For those wanting something more stable, the UAE introduced the Golden Visa in recent years, offering long-term residency to investors, entrepreneurs, and highly skilled professionals. But don't confuse this with a pathway to citizenship. The Golden Visa doesn't come with permanent residency benefits or voting rights, nor does it lead to citizenship. It's essentially a temporary setup with a bit more flexibility, which, for most residents, still means you're ultimately expected to leave. The UAE's restrictive immigration policies stem from a mix of political and cultural concerns. Emirati nationals make up a small portion of the population, and there's a real desire to maintain this native demographic majority. Granting citizenship to the millions of expatriates could shift the social fabric and alter the UAE's cultural landscape, something the government wants to avoid at all costs. These strict policies are part of why the UAE lands on our top 10 countries where immigrants are not welcome list. A fascinating case of a nation thriving on foreign labor while drawing a hard line on long-term residency and integration. In short, enjoy the UAE while you're there, but don't unpack your bags just yet. Number 3. Hungary. Hungary might be famous for its rich history and stunning architecture, but when it comes to immigration, it's a fortress. The country, with a population of roughly 9.6 million, according to the Hungarian Central Statistical Office, has set up one of the most restrictive immigration policies in Europe, focusing on national sovereignty and preserving Hungarian culture. And this isn't just talk. Hungary has taken real, concrete measures to keep immigration tightly controlled, especially for non-European immigrants. Let's talk about the policies. Hungary enforces a strict border control and asylum system, complete with physical barriers. In 2015, the Hungarian government built a border fence along its Serbian and Croatian borders, aiming to stop unauthorized migrants from entering the country. The Stop Soros law, introduced in 2018, even criminalizes assisting undocumented immigrants and asylum seekers, a move criticized by international human rights organizations. According to BBC News, these policies reflect Hungary's commitment to maintaining control over its borders and addressing security concerns related to immigration. Hungary's immigration restrictions focus on limiting non-European migration, especially from Muslim-majority countries. Visas and residency permits for non-EU immigrants face strict limitations, with few options for family reunification or long-term settlement. The government insists these measures are necessary to protect Hungary's cultural identity and prevent social challenges they believe large-scale immigration could bring. Prime Minister Viktor Orbán has been vocal about this stance, stating that Hungary has the right to preserve its Christian heritage and demographic stability. The political climate in Hungary plays a massive role in shaping these policies. With the ruling Fidesz party pushing a nationalist agenda, there's strong public support for restricting immigration. This aligns with a broader trend across Europe, but is particularly pronounced in Hungary, where the focus on cultural preservation and national sovereignty drives these policies. It's no wonder Hungary made it onto our top 10 countries where immigrants are not welcome list. The country is a powerful example of how national identity and immigration control intertwine, leaving little room for those hoping to settle in the land of paprika and thermal baths. Number 2. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is known for its rich history, desert landscapes, and oil wealth, but when it comes to immigration, this country holds the line firmly. With a population of about 32.2 million, roughly 13.4 million of whom are foreigners, according to Saudi General Authority for Statistics, Saudi Arabia depends on foreign labor, especially in sectors like construction and services. However, the country has strict policies to limit permanent residency and citizenship, aiming to protect its demographic balance and maintain its Islamic identity. Saudi Arabia's immigration system is structured around the kafala sponsorship system, similar to other Gulf countries. This system ties foreign workers to their employers, limiting job flexibility and residency options. While foreign workers can renew work visas and even secure long-term contracts, gaining permanent residency or citizenship is nearly impossible. In 2019, Saudi Arabia introduced the Premium Residency or Saudi Green Card program, allowing some expatriates to live and work without a sponsor. However, this comes with a hefty price tag and still doesn't offer a pathway to citizenship. As Arab News explains, the premium residency is aimed at investors and skilled professionals, but does not grant nationality. So, why such stringent policies? Saudi Arabia places immense importance on maintaining its religious identity and cultural heritage, both deeply rooted in Islam. The government worries that a permanent immigrant population could impact the country's social and cultural balance. Additionally, Saudi Arabia's wealth and extensive social benefits are reserved primarily for citizens, including free healthcare, education, and subsidies, so expanding citizenship to expatriates would strain the state's resources. Political and security concerns also influence these restrictions. Located in a region with complex geopolitical issues, Saudi Arabia views a tightly controlled immigration policy as essential to national security. According to The National, Saudi Arabia's strict immigration laws reflect its focus on security, cultural preservation, and economic stability. That's why Saudi Arabia made the cut in our top 10 countries where immigrants are not welcome video. While foreigners are welcome to work and experience the culture, putting down roots is a different story. In Saudi Arabia, the system is clear. Come for the job, but don't expect to stay forever. Number 1. North Korea. North Korea is perhaps the most isolated country in the world, a place where immigration is almost unheard of, and where foreigners are seldom welcome for more than a brief, carefully monitored visit. With a population of around 26 million, according to the World Bank, North Korea strictly controls who enters and, more importantly, who stays. The government views immigration as a potential threat to its regime stability and goes to great lengths to ensure that outside influences do not disrupt the country's strict political and cultural framework. For those who might even consider entering North Korea with hopes of staying, the barriers are sky-high. Residency for foreigners is almost non-existent. Only a few diplomats and aid workers are granted temporary, closely monitored stays. As for foreign workers or business people, Their activities are strictly limited, and they are heavily monitored. Tourist visas are rare, require strict supervision, and come with a set of unwritten rules. Tourists are assigned guides and are never left alone, ensuring they have zero unsupervised interactions with locals. So why such extreme control? North Korea's immigration stance is deeply rooted in its political ideology, juche, which emphasizes self-reliance and loyalty to the regime. The government fears that foreign influences could undermine its control over citizens and introduce ideas that might challenge the regime's authority. The New York Times states that immigration and long-term foreign presence are seen as risks that could expose North Koreans to alternative viewpoints, something the regime has no tolerance for. Security and economic concerns are also at play. The state tightly controls the economy, and the few foreign enterprises permitted to operate in the country are heavily regulated. Moreover, the regime's propaganda portrays the outside world, especially the West, as hostile and inferior, so allowing foreigners to settle in North Korea would contradict this narrative and potentially weaken internal unity. That's why North Korea lands on our top 10 countries where immigrants are not welcome list, standing as a striking example of a country dedicated to isolation. The doors are tightly shut, and they're likely to stay that way, keeping North Korea a mysterious and closed-off place where immigration is simply not part of the picture. Thanks for sticking with us through this eye-opening journey into the top 10 countries where immigrants are not welcome. It's fascinating to see how different nations approach immigration, each with their own unique blend of culture, security concerns, and economic priorities. Whether it's about preserving national identity, managing resources, or maintaining stability, these policies shape the way people move and live across the globe. If you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more global insights with Virtual Travel by Brian. And let us know in the comments, which country's immigration policy surprised you the most, or maybe even made you think twice about visiting or moving there. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and see you in the next adventure.